Okay, so welcome to tonight's webinar. As you can see there, this one is called Your First 4 Weeks. And this is one of a series of 8 webinars that I run. And the first one that we did last week was called Getting Started. I try and do one every week. So normally it takes about 8 weeks to go through them all. I usually miss 1 or 2 in an 8-week period, so it's probably 9 or 10 weeks to do the whole lot. But the benefit of the fact that they run like this, the main benefit is that because I record them all, if you're kind of just joining and you want to go through the Getting Started one, you don't have to wait for another 9 weeks before you can do that, because they're all recorded. And you can then, I'll explain at the end of the webinar where all the recordings are. And so if you want to go back and watch the Getting Started one, you can go back and watch that straight away. Or if you're keen to go straight into personal development, then you can have a look at that this evening as soon as you finish if you want to. So, as I said there, tonight we're talking about your first 4 weeks. So what are we going to cover by that? In the Getting Started one last week, we talked about I guess you might call it the nuts and bolts, about receiving your catalogues, delivering them, preparing them, delivering them, collecting them back, putting your first order in, all those sorts of things, and a little bit about Facebook buying and selling as well. This week we're going to be talking about a few of the other things that you should be doing in your first few weeks, as well as all of that nitty-gritty stuff. So you should be thinking about goal setting, and I'll explain more about that in a moment. We have a little checklist, so I'm going to show you this checklist. It doesn't have to be the same for everybody. You will have different teams, will have different checklists, but you should certainly have an idea of the things that you want to cover off in your first few weeks. And I'm just going to introduce a little bit about the residual income side and a bit about team building. Last week we didn't really talk very much about these. We were just talking about the retail side. So that's what we're going to cover this evening. So hopefully, when you first joined Kleeneze, and I know for some of you that was all quite recent, you will have some idea in your head of why you joined. It's pretty unusual to find somebody who joins because they've got a passion for walking the streets, delivering, popping catalogues through people's letterboxes. So most people join Kleeneze in order to achieve something different, to improve the quality of their life. Often related to income, an increase, an extra £50 a week is quite usual, but sometimes it's something else. So when you've got an idea in your head of why you join Kleeneze, it's a really useful thing to set your first goal. Thank you, Tina. Tina's there about meeting people and earning some extra money. That's excellent. So what should your first goal look like? Well, I recommend you actually set yourself 3 little goals at the beginning. And so one of them will be quite a short-term one, just what you want to do in your first couple of months. Then a medium-term goal, which could be something like 3 to 9 months. And then longer-term goals, which will be anything from a year onwards. As you go and progress through your Kleeneze journey, your goals and your time scales will change enormously. But if you get into practice of setting goals and achieving goals as soon as possible, then you find that your Kleeneze journey is much more productive, because you're always kind of stretching for the next goal. And I've said there that it's really useful to have emotional, or what I call visual, goals. And the reason I say that, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a moment. I'm trying to differentiate there a little bit between a lot of people join and say, oh, well, my first goal is just to get my catalogues out. I'd like to get all 250 catalogues out at least once a week or twice a week. Or people would say, oh, I'd like an extra £50 a week. And those things are great, but actually much more powerful are goals that are related to your emotions and that you can visualize them. So something like being able to take the kids to the cinema every weekend. If you've got a family that really loves going to the cinema, and at the moment you're struggling to afford that, then being able to go and see any film you want, the latest Disney film or the latest kind of Avengers film or whatever it might be something that's really important to you. Or having a brand new car, maybe you've been struggling along with your old banger that keeps breaking down and you can't afford to get it serviced, and you would just love to be able to buy maybe not even a brand new one, maybe just a, sort of 5-year-old or 10-year-old car that doesn't need kind of repairing every 6 months. So whatever your goals are, if they're kind of emotional and visual, they're much more powerful than just saying £50 a week or get my catalogues out. And I'm going to tell you a little bit, depending on what your goals are, on what you should focus on to achieve that. So there are two parts to Kleeneze, as we've kind of discussed. Hopefully you've discussed it with your team leader when you're joining, with your sponsor. And the retail part, which is kind of primarily catalogues and the online selling. And the online selling is, again, primarily Facebook, but other things as well. And there's also team building. And so even if when you first start off, you're thinking, well, I'm not sure that I want to be a team leader yet or get into team building, then it's useful to know that you can do, because you never know when you might come across somebody who's looking for a bit of extra money, and if you're thinking, oh, actually, yeah, they could join Kleeneze in my team. If you're aware of the fact that you can do it, that's really useful, even if you're not intending to do it in your first few weeks or months. So what I would say is, if your reasons for joining are that you can really do with some extra money now, then the retail will be the quickest way for you to do that. So focus on making sure you get your catalogues out at least a couple of times a week. Make sure you're on Facebook regularly. You should. I'm not going to go through the Facebook training here, but posting things in 30 to 60 groups at least 2 or 3 times a day, and having your own group and posting things in that 2 or 3 times a day as well. And that momentum will deliver the retail, which will give you income straight away. However, if your reason for joining is more of a long-term thing, maybe you're kind of approaching retirement and you're just a bit worried about your pension, so you're looking to build something up in the longer term, and you're interested in a residual income rather than just kind of getting paid for your own activities, then team building is something that you'll want to focus on quite quickly once you've started. And the final thing you need to be aware of, or you need to think about really, and again, I'm not going to go through it in a lot of detail here, but you need to understand how much time you're going to commit to this. And sit down with your sponsor and explain to them, what you're wanting to achieve from your Kleeneze business, how much you're looking to earn, and let's suppose it's £50 or £100 a week, and then work out how much time you're going to be able to commit to this. If you've got a school run to do, if you've got meals to prepare, if you've got another part-time job, if you've got sort of your mum that you look after, you might find that you've only got a couple of hours a couple of times a week, and you might be struggling. And what you're able to achieve in the time that you've got, it's really important that you're realistic. It's no good coming in saying, well, actually, I've just lost my job, I'm looking for £1,000 a month to help pay the mortgage, but I've only really got a couple of hours on a Saturday morning. That's just totally unrealistic. So, but if you're clear in your own mind how much time you can commit to it, and you're clear how much you'd like to earn from it, then sit down with your sponsor, and he or she can explain, what to do to achieve that. Okay, quick question. I've seen a few things putting things up there, a few people putting things up there. Has anyone got any goals? And remember what I said here, what I'm really looking for is not just a bit of extra money. What do you need the extra money for? Is it for treats for the family, or is it to pay off some debt? A lot of people join Kleeneze to try and get rid of some credit card debt. Yeah, Stuart to quit work, Sean, that's a really good one. Yeah, I understand that, Tina. Extra income from Stephen there, treats for the kids. Yeah, stability, Michaelia, that's really good. It's really good to sit down and think about this, about what your goals are, because then, Kleeneze, just like life really, is a bit of a roller coaster. And if you are focusing on your goals and where you're going, then you can get over any minor obstacles. If you don't have a goal and you don't really know where you're going, what you tend to do is focus on the obstacles instead of where you're going. Yep, thanks Dave, I've heard your story, that was great. So, some great goals there. Now what I would say is be patient. Kleeneze isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. You will find, as I said earlier, there'll be ups and downs. You'll have good pickups and bad pickups. You will have days when you get loads of orders from your Facebook adverts, and other days where you don't get a single thing. But by giving it time and be patient and being consistent and persistent, then it will pay off. So that's all very well us saying, let's set a goal, that's fantastic, we've got this vision of the Ferrari or whatever it is that we're all going to aim for. But how do you actually achieve it? Goal setting is one part of it, but actually achieving goals is kind of pretty important as well. And the way that you achieve goals is not by focusing on the results, if you like, what the goal is, but by focusing on the actions that will lead to those results. So as I said there, goals are achieved by your results, which come from your actions. So let me just give you a bit of an example here. Your goal might be to be able to treat the kids to a trip to the cinema every weekend. And maybe you need £50 to do that. It's not cheap going to the cinema. If you go for a pizza or something as well, then 50 quid would certainly disappear pretty quickly. But if you say you want £50 a week, you could have a look at your catalogues and a bit of Facebook and say, okay, in order, let's just say just on the catalogue side, in order to earn £50 a week, I probably need to get my catalogues out at least once a week. So that's 250 catalogues delivered every week. So what you're focusing on is making sure that you're delivering and collecting 250 catalogues every week. Because if you do that, then the results will come and you can achieve your goals. If you start thinking about, oh, are we going to get to the cinema this weekend? You're losing track of, did I get my catalogues out? Have I been to collect them or have I placed an order? So focusing on the actions rather than the results is what will deliver to goals for you. So just another little example there. Suppose you've got a goal to go on holiday in the summer. 6 months from now, whenever that would be, October, so a late autumn holiday you're aiming for. But you want to go somewhere nice, so it's going to cost you £1,000. How can you earn £1,000 as a new Kleeneze distributor? Well, if you place £5,000 worth of orders, then at 20%, now I know K-Life and the Kleeneze catalogue, the commissions are different, and I'm not including bonuses and things, but just for the sake of the figures, £5,000 in orders would, at a 20% commission, would earn you £1,000. So to do that over 6 months, you need about £800 a month in orders, maybe a little bit more than that. So, in order to generate £800 a month in orders, you probably need to deliver around about 800 catalogues a month. We often say, certainly over a 6 month period, you would soon get to an average of £1 per catalogue in orders. You might find when you first start off, you're getting a bit less than that, but you'll soon get more than that as you start to cut out all of the people that don't want your catalogues and you're delivering to more and more of your regular customers. So delivering 800 catalogues a month is about 200 catalogues a week. Well, in fact, it's not exactly, but about, depending on the month, obviously. So 200 catalogues a week, you might say, okay, I can't do them all at once, but I can deliver 100 catalogues on a Monday and 100 on a Thursday and collect them a couple of days later. So your goal of that holiday next October in Ibiza or whatever is if you like, the big picture that you're aiming at. But the actions, the day-to-day figures, the day-to-day detail that you're focusing on is, can I make sure I get my 100 catalogues out on a Monday and collect them back on the Wednesday? Can I make sure that I get 100 catalogues out on a Thursday? And yes, you can. If you put your mind to it and you've got the time that you've agreed to do it, you can determine that's what I'm going to do on Monday. If your girlfriend rings up and says, can we go out for a meal for coffee on Monday morning, then you'll have to say, I can't do Monday morning, are we okay for Monday afternoon? Or how about Tuesday, because my catalogues will be out by then. So you have to prioritise to get the actions done sometimes. But the beauty of this is you can focus on what you can control. You can't control how many orders you get, you can't control whether you earn the £1,000 or not, but what you can control is making sure you get those catalogues out or get those Facebook ads posted. So what else? If you're aiming to put some actions in place, what tools will help you do that? So a great tool that I find, and it's really, really simple, is just a weekly plan. And that would look something like this. If you've got, let's say, you put your 7 days a week at the top there, 3 sessions down the side there, morning, afternoon and evening, then you can block out what other commitments you've got. If you've got a school run or a part-time job, or you go around your mum's or whatever it might be, you can block those out and then work out when you're going to do your actions during the rest of the time. So here's a little example for you. I won't go through it in all detail, but as an example, let's say on the Thursday there, you might drop your catalogues on the Thursday morning. And the catalogues that you drop on the Thursday morning, maybe you plan to pick those up on the Monday. So that's the pickup there. Maybe you'll drop a second lot of catalogues. If you're aiming to drop 100 on Thursday and 100 on the Friday, maybe you drop the second lot on the Friday to pick up on the Tuesday. So that's your pickup there. Maybe you decide on the Tuesday morning, that's when you're going to do your pickup. Also on Tuesday, you'll probably have some stragglers from your Monday pickup. On the Wednesday, you might have some stragglers from the Tuesday pickup. And then once you've picked up all of your catalogues and your stragglers, then you can place your order on the Wednesday. It will get delivered to you on the Friday, and then you can start delivering your orders to the customers on the Friday and maybe over the weekend. So by making a plan of when you're going to do all of the activities that you need to do and fitting it around your other commitments, it's much easier to stick to it and to take those actions that you've committed yourself to doing, than just saying every morning when I get up I'll have a think about what I fancy doing. Because I guarantee if that's your attitude, to just keep playing it as you go along, then there'll always be something that will get in the way. And if you don't have a plan to stick to, you will easily be able to say, oh, well, I was going to do my catalogues, but I can do those tomorrow instead. Or, well, I was going to pick them up today, but maybe if I pick them up tomorrow, it won't be too bad. And you'll just find tomorrow something else will crop up, and before you know it, 2 weeks have gone past and you've hardly put your catalogues out. So having a plan is really, really useful. So, quick question, especially for new starters. Have you kind of started to think about a weekly routine yet? Has anybody sort of settled into a routine? I know sort of new starters. Nathan, good, thanks for that. I know with new starters. Okay, Michaela, but you've made a start. That's good. I mean, actually, the good thing about having a plan is if you fail and acknowledge that you're failing, you can adjust the plan. Well done, Katie. Well done, Tina. Excellent. I mean, I think the importance of having a plan and a thing there isn't that you have to stick to it to the letter. It's just that if you decide to do something else at a time when you were going to put your catalogues out, then at least you kind of acknowledge that, I'm not going to have as good a week this week because I've changed my plan here a little bit. Or you might need to adjust your plan. The plan isn't kind of fixed in stone, but it kind of gives you a guide for the week. Okay, another good thing to do is in your first 4 weeks, there's a bunch of stuff that you should kind of tick off. Make sure that you've tried to do. So a great phrase that I heard when I first started is become immersed in Kleeneze. And what we mean by that is do something to do with Kleeneze every single day. So you may sort of think, oh, well, I'm going to put my catalogues out, once a week. I'm going to put all 250 of them out on a Monday, and then I'm going to pick them all up on the Wednesday and put in an order on a Thursday, and then that'll be done. And so you might be thinking, okay, well, that's good. That'll give me maybe Tuesday and Friday when I don't have to do any Kleeneze stuff, which is fine. But if you're doing something every day, it becomes like a habit. The 21-day rule says if you do something every day, it becomes a habit. And once you've got a habit, you don't have to think about doing it. It's not kind of, oh, crikey, now what am I supposed to be doing today? You've already kind of got the habit of, today is my catalogues out, and then this afternoon I'm doing Facebook, and then tomorrow morning is, delivering orders, and then catalogues in the afternoon, or whatever it might be. So try and do something every single day, and then you will find that this kind of 21-day rule kicks in once you've been doing that. Make sure you've got your weekly planner. As I say, actually write it out. Don't just have it in your mind. Write it out, because then you can look back at that each day and say, did I do what I said I was going to do today? Okay, that's the kind of weekly planner side. Another great thing to do in your first 4 weeks is start making lists of people that you know. And there's a number of different reasons why you should do that, and I'll kind of expand on that a little bit. But just start off by thinking about all the different people that you know in all different aspects of your life. And what's really, really important is to create your own retail story. Now, your retail story is basically, if you start team building and you say, oh yeah, there's this guy called Bob Webb and he earns £40,000 a month, and there's other people earning loads and loads of money, and that's really good business, you can earn thousands and thousands. And people say to you, oh yeah, that's fair enough, but how much did you earn in your first month? And if you say, I didn't actually earn any money for the first 6 months, and then do you see what I mean? People are going to be saying, oh yeah, okay, yeah, thanks very much for that, and just walk away. Whereas if you can say to them, yeah, actually, I made a good start. I earned 50 quid in my kind of first couple of weeks. By the end of the first month, I'd earned £250. In my second month, I earned £400. And then I started doing a bit of team leading, team building. And, within a couple of months after that, I was on £700. And now I'm making £1,000 a month. And it's all still part-time. And that's a really, really powerful story, because people can see, especially if they're people that you know, they can see, well, if he can do that, then I can do that, I'm sure. So, Kleeneze, you've got a number of incentives to try and encourage you to get that really quick start at the beginning. That 30-day bonus where you get 50 free catalogues every time you put in an order of £150 or more is really, really good, especially if you are putting out a lot of catalogues, you're going to lose some, so getting as many free ones as you can is really, really important. And by doing that, really hammering that 30-day bonus, that's going to give you a really good retail story for when you start team building. And as I've said there, you can do all sorts of different things to try and get your orders up in the first 30 days, as well as blanketing your catalogues and doing your Facebook. Make sure you speak to your friends and your family, that list of people that you know that I said. Just say to them, I've just started this little business, would you have a little look at the catalogue for me, see if there's anything that you might be interested in, just to help me get off to a good start. They may not become a customer for life, but if they're a friend or a family member, they might help you out with a couple of orders, and that might just get you your next order in a day sooner, get it to your customers a day sooner, so your customers are really happy with how quick you delivered it. So speaking to friends and family and neighbours and so on is a great way to get that retail story so quickly. Okay, we talk a lot in Kleeneze, and you'll have noticed right at the beginning when I mentioned the different webinars, we talk about personal development. And I'm not going to talk about it in a lot of detail, but personal development is basically learning a bit about yourself and your strengths and your weaknesses and working on them to become more confident, I guess. And a great start to doing that is this short book by a chap called Don Failer called The 45-Second Presentation. And basically what it does, literally it's kind of 50 pages, big words, lots of pictures. It's a good kind of book, my kind of book. And in just one reading, you can kind of get a good understanding of how network marketing works and why team building is really important. And it kind of introduces you to personal development in a very easy way. So if you're going to read just one book in your Kleeneze journey, that's the one I'd recommend. Getting to local meetings. Now, tonight's webinar, I know that we've got quite a few new people on board tonight, and that's absolutely fantastic. But if you can get to as many meetings as you can in your first few weeks, it will really kind of open your eyes to the kind of horizons of Kleeneze. There will be local open evenings near you. There's millionaire regional meetings. There's millionaires meetings, millionaires colleges in a couple of places around the country. There's local training meetings. Your team leaders will probably have little sizzles nearby. And obviously there's the great big the conferences at Birmingham and different parts of the country that Kleeneze run. If you can get along to those, I guarantee it will make a huge difference to your success, because you're just mixing with successful people, and it's really, really inspiring. And the other thing is just speak to your sponsor regularly. Your sponsor is there to help you. He's got a vested interest in making you as successful as he possibly can, or she possibly can. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure that I should pester him, I spoke to him a couple of days ago, he probably doesn't want to hear from me anymore. That's absolutely not true. They want to hear from you every day. They want to hear your stories, how great it's, if you've got some good pickup, they want to know. If you had not a very good pickup, they want to know, because they might be able to help you if you're doing something not quite right, or some little hints and tips that will make your next pickup better. the only way you're going to find those out is by speaking to your sponsor. So make sure you speak to them regularly. Okay, I mentioned at the beginning, I'm just going to introduce you in a very simple way to residual income. And a definition of residual income is income that you are paid over and over long after the work that you did to earn it has finished. So examples of that are, best-selling authors. If you're J.K. Rowling, if she decided never to put pen to paper again, the success of the Harry Potter books guarantee that she's going to be earning a lot of money well after she kind of finished the last page of the last book. And if you're Paul McCartney, if you're a songwriter writing #1 hits, again, every time your song's played on some radio station, you get an extra 27 pence in your bank account well after you finished writing that song. So that's an idea of the sorts of residual income that you might be familiar with. Now, if you're planning to write a best-selling book or a #1 hit, then fantastic, that's a great place to go. But if you're not, I'm just going to show you a couple of other ways to earn some residual income. So, one way, and this is a way that most people are probably familiar with, you might not think you can write a #1 best-selling song, but if you've got some money in the bank account, or particularly a savings account, you'll earn interest on it. And interest is effectively residual income. The work that you did to earn that money in the first place is now finished. You put it in the bank account, and hopefully you'll be getting a bit of interest on it monthly. And just to give you a bit of an idea, at the moment, if you can find a savings account that gives you 2.5%, that's pretty good. If you had £100,000 in savings, you'd be earning about £208 a month. From that, that's okay. So I guess all you guys, that £100,000 that you've got sat under the mattress at the moment that you didn't know what to do with, go and stick it in a bank account tomorrow. There's another way you can do that though. If you join Kleeneze, I think some of you already have. If you join Kleeneze and you get yourself to the 10% level. Now if you're just in the business you might not know exactly what that means, but basically if you're putting in around about £200 a week in orders, you'll be earning around about £50 a week from that. It's called, you get a bonus at that level, and it's called the 10% bonus. So if you do that, and then you find some team members, and the team member is literally, it sounds grand, but it's just somebody else who you come across who's looking to earn some extra money, who'd like to give Kleeneze a go. If they do the same, so they get to the point where they're putting in about £200 a week in orders, then you will start earning a residual income from your team members. And how much could you earn? Well, it all depends on how many team members you've got and the structure and so on, but very basically, if you look here, if you had 5 people in your team who all did about the same as you, then your residual income from that would be £240 a month. Now that might not sound a lot, but actually that's more than having £100,000 in the bank account. So what do you think is most likely to happen in the next 6 to 12 months? That you're going to save up 100 grand, or you might find 5 people that might join your team? Hopefully you'll start thinking that, actually maybe looking to find some people to join my team is worthwhile, because it certainly is. Okay, here's a quick way to do that, even before you kind of know how to do team building. I mentioned earlier about making a list of everybody that you knew. So start off with just the top 10, your brother, sister, anybody that you might know, mum, dad, and just call them up using what I call the third party approach. And basically all that means is you ring them up and say, Dad, I've just started this Kleeneze business. You've probably heard about it. It's been going around for a little while. Would you do me a favour? If I send you some information, have a little look at it. If you know anybody who might be interested in earning a bit of extra money, would you pass it on to them? And your dad's going to help you out. He'll have a little look at it. Now, there's 2 things that happen there. Firstly, he might actually say to you, you know what, I've never really discussed this with you before, but I'm pretty bored stiff now that I'm retired. I've really been looking for something to earn a bit of extra money. I wouldn't mind doing that. Or he might know his brother-in-law or an old work colleague or an old school friend, or who knows. He might actually know somebody at this time who might be interested in joining. So follow them up. Just ring back a couple of days later. Hi Dad, hi Mum, how are you? Did you get a chance to have a look at that? What did you think? Very, very simple, short. We're not talking complicated phone calls here. And just every few days, add a few more people to your list. Send them some information. Ask them if they'll have a little look at it for you. Because what you're doing here is you may well find some team members at that time. You might just time it just right. Just 3 days after somebody's lost their job, you approach them and they're thinking, oh, brilliant. This is something I could really go for. But what's more important, actually, and more likely, is that you're sowing your seeds. You're basically saying to them, I've got a way to earn a bit of extra money. If your circumstances ever change, please bear me in mind. And that's the beauty of it, because you don't know what their situation is. You don't know the worries that they've got, the fact that maybe they're expecting another baby and they're worried about the cost of that and how they're going to pay for everything, and they could do with an extra 50 quid a week working evenings and weekends. So they might come back to you and say, actually, you know what, I would really love to do this. I've just been looking for something like this myself. So that's just a really quick and easy way to get you into the idea of building a team. Okay guys, pretty much come to the end of this. I want to ask you a few questions just to see how many of you have been fast asleep and how many of you have been watching. I said at the beginning there are 2 different ways to earn money in Kleeneze. Can you remember what I said? Anybody remember them? Retail and sponsor. Thank you, Myrna Peter. Yeah, team building, the retail side, which is what most people do when they're first starting off. Thank you, Sean. Yeah. So the retail side, which is catalogues or Facebook, and then the team building, sponsoring side, retail and team building. Okay. I also mentioned 2 different ways to earn £200 a month residual income. Can anybody remember what those 2 different ways were? Having a team, Tina, yeah, that's one. What was the first one? £100,000 in the bank. Lee, good man, you're on the ball. 5 team members doing 10%. Gosh, you are on the ball, Lee. Well done, mate. Yeah, Michaelia, having a team. Simon, yeah, customers and team. Specifically, the residual income is by having money in a savings bank. So, yeah, 100k in the bank or 5 team members. That's it. Yep, there we go. And what did I say? What should you focus on rather than the results? Remember when I was saying setting a goal? Yeah, Simon, activity, very good. Yeah, actions, Nam, activity. Yeah, the actions and the activity are things that you control. You can decide, do I go out with my catalogues or not? The results, the £50 a week or the £100 a week or whatever, are what will come from the activities. But if you start focusing on how much am I earning, it's kind of, you can't influence that directly. Obviously you can. The more catalogues you put out, the more you'll earn. But what you can focus on is your activity. There you go. Focus on your actions, which you control. Okay, so just summarising now, guys. We covered setting and achieving that first goal. That's a really good activity, I think, to get you started and to start thinking about why you joined Kleeneze and what you're going to do to achieve that. Go through that checklist again. I'll explain in a moment where this is recorded, so if you can't remember everything in the checklist, you can come back to the recording once it's all uploaded tomorrow. And I introduce you just very briefly to residual income and the different ways of doing team building to get started. So this was number 2, your first 4 weeks. The next one is number 3, all about building your customer base. Now, sadly, that's not going to be next week because unfortunately Peter and Myrna and myself are going to have to go off to Jamaica, one of these company business meetings. You know what they're like, not very exciting, but so we won't be here next week, but it will be back the week after that. However, if you can't wait that long, then all of the recordings are held on YouTube, and you can find them there. So if you just go onto YouTube, do a quick search on Chris Smith Kleeneze, then feel free to subscribe to that channel, and then every time I put a new video, up there, you'll get a notification. It normally takes me a day or so to put the one that we're on now. So tomorrow sometime, this one will be up there, but the other 7 are already there. So if there was one of those like getting started, or you're interested in team building, or you want to look at personal development, they're already there, so you can just go and watch them at your own leisure. Right, I'm just going to